Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're going deep, really deep, into how Islam views resolving conflicts between husbands and wives. We're not just skimming the surface here.
Right.
We're going straight to the source, Quran, Hadiths, the whole shebang.
You got it.
To uncover, that real wisdom, those actionable insights that can help build a rock-solid marriage.
Yeah, absolutely. It's amazing how much wisdom is packed in there.
And I think sometimes we just kind of take it for granted, or we don't really understand it.
We don't really connect with on a practical level.
Yeah, exactly. And so we're going to talk about things like rights and duties, this whole idea of a three-step approach to disagreements, and some really powerful perspectives on forgiveness that I think are going to change how you view things.
Yeah, I think what's really fascinating is that Islam frames marriage as this partnership.
Yeah.
Where rights and duties, they're all intertwined.
Okay, so it's not just like a one-way street.
Exactly.
Not like one person having the upper hand.
No, it's more like this beautiful balance.
Yeah.
You fulfill your role, and naturally your spouse's rights are being fulfilled too.
Wow, that's a really cool way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's like a beautifully choreographed dance.
I like that.
Where each movement complements the other.
Yes.
But where do we actually see this in the teachings? Where's that source material come in?
So if you look at the Quran, verse 2.228, It states that women have rights similar to those over them, by their husbands, but men have a degree of responsibility over them as well.
Okay.
And now you've got all these incredible scholars, Ibn Abbas, Ibn Zayd, Al-Qurtubi.
Big names.
Yeah, heavy hitters, right?
Yeah.
And they've all weighed in on this.
Yeah.
And they've explained that it's not about this, hierarchy.
Okay.
It's about understanding that every right comes with a corresponding duty.
Okay.
So, for example, a husband's duty to provide financially.
Okay.
That's connected to his wife's right to, financial security.
So it is a two-way street.
Yeah.
Okay.
Built on that mutual respect and understanding.
So if I'm focusing on holding up my end of the bargain, so to speak, the other person's rights are they're automatically taken care of.
It's like this built-in system, right?
Yeah.
Where if you're fulfilling your part, the other person's rights naturally are fulfilled.
That's brilliant. It seems like this itself, like this foundation itself, can prevent a lot of conflicts.
Right.
That could happen potentially.
Because it establishes those clear expectations.
Yeah.
Right from the get-go.
Right from the beginning.
Yeah.
And it's not this mystery.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's say that foundation's there. But let's be real. We're human.
Of course.
Little disagreements, little annoyances, they're bound to pop up.
All the time.
Yeah.
Right.
How do these teachings guide us through those everyday conflicts?
Okay, well, this is where the beauty of forgiveness comes in.
Okay.
And overlooking those little mistakes.
Okay.
Because you've got this hadith that says every son of Adam makes mistakes, right? And the best of those who make mistakes are those who repent.
So true.
Powerful reminder that we're all imperfect, right? And holding on to grudges over small things, it's detrimental.
Yeah.
It hurts the marriage.
It really does. That reminds me of a time
Oh, yeah.
Well, let's just say I messed up.
Sure.
And my partner, they chose to forgive me.
Wow.
And it honestly felt like this huge weight was lifted off my shoulders.
It's relief, isn't it?
Yeah. And it allowed us to just move forward.
Yeah.
Without that resentment.
Exactly.
So this whole principle of forgiveness, it really works.
It's powerful.
What about those situations, though, where it feels like it's just this constant back and forth?
Yeah.
That tit for tat cycle. I think one wrong leads to another.
Right.
How do we break free from that?
Such a common struggle, isn't it?
It is.
And the sources offer a beautiful example for this.
Okay.
There's this story about Abu Darda and his wife. And whenever one became angry, the other would actively try to calm them down.
Okay.
Instead of escalating it, they de-escalated.
Wow. So it takes a lot of emotional intelligence to not get sucked into that vortex.
It does.
It really does.
Sure.
So we've talked about forgiveness, we've talked about patience, but there's another aspect in here that I want to explore.
Okay.
Which is this whole idea of supporting each other's faith journey.
Yes. That's a crucial element, isn't it, of a strong Islamic marriage?
Yeah.
And, the Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, he described a believing wife who helps one's faith as one of the best kinds of wealth.
Wow.
It's like it highlights the importance of having that shared values, that growth on a spiritual level, which ultimately strengthens the bond.
So it's like, you have a teammate in your spiritual growth.
Yes.
Someone who understands your values, encourages you to be the best version of yourself.
Exactly.
That alignment on a deeper level.
Yeah.
I feel like that creates so much more harmony in the relationship.
It's not just about avoiding the conflict. It's about building that shared vision.
Yeah.
Right? For life together.
And that shared vision.
Yes.
I feel like that extends to, fostering a positive and kind attitude within the marriage as well.
Oh, absolutely.
So like what do the sources say about this whole like good attitude thing?
Well, there's this incredibly powerful hadith that states that having a good attitude is weightier than fasting and prayer in the eyes of Allah.
Wow. So it's not just about like the rituals.
It's about the essence.
It's about how you treat your partner in everyday life.
Exactly. Actions speak louder than words.
Yeah.
You can be incredibly devout, but if you're not treating your partner with kindness and respect, your faith isn't really reflected in your actions.
Right. It's like a plant needing sunshine.
Yes.
A marriage needs a good attitude to flourish.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
It really captures the essence of what the sources are trying to convey.
Okay, so now this next part, this might be a little bit sensitive, and I want to make sure that we approach it with the utmost care and understanding.
Of course.
So our sources talk about dealing with a wife's disobedience to her husband.
Okay.
And I think it's really crucial that we understand this within the context of the time period and the broader principles of Islam.
Absolutely. Context is everything.
Yeah. So can you kind of walk us through this, just keeping in mind the sensitivity of the topic?
Of course. So the Quran, verse 4.34, it outlines a 3-step approach to address a wife's disobedience.
Okay.
But it's incredibly important to understand. These steps are not to be taken lightly at all.
Oh.
They're meant to be applied with wisdom, compassion, and only as a last resort.
Got it. So what are those steps?
So the first step is admonition.
Okay.
This involves gently reminding her of her duties and attempting to resolve the issue through open communication.
Okay, so it's not about jumping to punishment.
No.
It's about trying to talk it through, find a resolution together.
Yes. Reconciliation, understanding.
Yeah.
That's the goal. Always.
Okay. Now, if admonition doesn't work.
Right. So the second step is forsaking.
Okay.
This is temporarily separating in bed.
Okay.
And again, not as punishment,
but
rather to create space for reflection.
Okay.
You cool down those heated emotions, and hopefully you pave the way for that reconciliation again.
So it's like a timeout where each person can kind of step back, reevaluate the situation.
Exactly.
It's important to clarify, though, that this separation, it's only in bed, right?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay.
It's not like a complete you don't talk to them, you don't interact.
Right.
It's about that healthy distance.
Got it.
Allowing for that reflection.
Okay. Now, the third step. This is the one that I think often causes the most controversy.
Of course.
And requires the most sensitive explanation.
Yeah.
It involves, as a last resort. Hitting lightly.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's incredibly important to emphasize for our listeners that this is absolutely not condoning any form of abuse.
No.
It should never be interpreted as such.
Never.
And it's important to note that.
And even this step, while it's mentioned in the Quran, is highly debated among scholars.
Okay.
And many emphasize that it should only be considered in extremely rare cases.
Okay.
And should never, ever cause harm.
Right.
The Prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, he explicitly prohibited hitting the face.
Okay.
Hitting with force.
Right.
And striking in a way that leaves marks.
So we need to be very clear here. This is strictly for disciplinary purposes.
Yeah.
And even then, there are very, very specific guidelines and restrictions.
Yeah.
And I want to reiterate that the overarching principle in Islam is to treat your spouse with kindness.
Of course.
And respect.
Absolutely.
And so any form of violence or abuse, that completely contradicts those core values.
Completely. And it's important to remember that if you are facing challenges in your marriage, seeking guidance from trusted scholars, professionals is absolutely essential.
Right.
They can help you navigate these complex issues in a safe and healthy way.
And just to be sure, this deep dive, it's about understanding the wisdom contained within the source material. It's not about giving personal advice.
No.
Or condoning harmful practices.
Never.
It's so crucial to consult with those who are knowledgeable.
Right.
Who can offer guidance that is aligned with the true spirit of Islam.
Absolutely. So let's talk about returning to harmony after a conflict.
Okay.
That's the goal, right, ultimately.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how do the teachings kind of guide us toward that reconciliation?
Yeah, that's a good question.
So the Quran beautifully emphasizes the importance of forgiveness and reconciliation.
Okay.
Once the wife returns to obedience, it instructs husbands to not seek means of annoyance or hold on to grudges, after the issue's been resolved.
That's really powerful.
Yeah.
I mean, that aligns perfectly with, kind of like modern conflict resolution techniques.
Right.
The focus on open communication, finding that compromise, and most importantly, moving forward together with a clean slate.
A fresh start.
It's not about dwelling on the past, but it's about rebuilding, strengthening the relationship.
Exactly. Recognizing that conflict's natural in any relationship.
Yeah.
But it's how you handle it.
Yeah.
Right. That determines the long term.
Right.
Health and happiness.
And forgiveness, like we discussed earlier, is such a powerful tool in that process.
Yeah.
It's not about condoning bad behavior.
No.
But it's about choosing to let go of that resentment.
Right.
Rebuilding that trust.
Yeah.
Choosing the path of healing and growth.
Beautifully said. And this is where things get even more fascinating because the source material goes beyond just conflict resolution. It dives deep into the nuances of building a truly fulfilling marriage.
Okay, I am all ears.
Right.
What kind of nuggets of wisdom are we going to get into in the next part of this deep dive?
Well, we're going to be exploring the impact of self-reflection.
Okay.
And how it can transform a marriage from the inside out.
Okay.
Plus, we're going to uncover the power of fulfilling your own duties and how that can inspire positive change in your spouse.
This is getting good. I just can't wait to explore these concepts further and really see how we can, take this knowledge and apply it to build stronger, happier relationships. So stay tuned for part 2.
Can't wait. It's amazing how often we get caught up in what our partner is doing wrong.
Oh, yeah?
That we kind of forget to look in the mirror.
Oh, that's so true.
Do you know?
Yeah. It's easy to fall into that blame game, but where does that come up in the source material?
Well, the sources, they emphasize this whole self-reflection and accountability within the marriage.
Yeah. There's
even a hadith that says a Muslim is a brother of a Muslim. He does not betray him, lie to him, or forsake him.
Okay.
And while that speaks about, brotherhood in general, the law of scholars, they interpret it to apply within the marriage as well.
Okay.
It kind of highlights that marriage is not just about, demanding your rights.
Okay.
But it's about actively seeking your spouse's well-being.
Wow, that's a powerful, powerful reminder. So often we focus on what, they're doing wrong instead of like, how can I be a better spouse?
Right.
Exactly. And it's not just about, avoiding harmful actions.
Yeah.
But being mindful of like our words.
Oh, yeah.
Our facial expression. Even those subtle cues.
Totally.
They can have a huge impact.
Oh, yeah.
On the marriage.
I can totally relate to that. Yeah. Sometimes a sarcastic comment or like a dismissive look can sting more than, even harsh words, even if it wasn't intended that way.
And the sources offer beautiful guidance on this as well. They emphasize, speaking kindly to your spouse, even when you disagree.
Okay.
There's a hadith that states, the best of you are those who are best to their wives.
Okay.
Reminding us that our spouse, they deserve our respect, our kindness, especially in moments of conflict.
I love how these teachings, they're so simple.
They are.
Yet they're so profound.
Yeah.
It's like a little gentle nudge.
Yeah.
To just elevate the way we interact with our spouse.
Even when we're in disagreement.
Absolutely. It's about cultivating that positive, loving atmosphere.
Yeah. Remember that analogy we talked about earlier, like the plant needing sunshine?
Yes.
Like our words and our actions, that's the sunshine or the shade.
Yes.
We're either nourishing our relationship with positivity, or we're kind of creating these conditions where it withers.
Powerful is yeah.
We really do have the power to shape that emotional environment.
We do.
Speaking of shaping the environment,
yeah.
Yeah. I'm curious how like fulfilling our own duties
yes.
ties into all of this.
That's where things get really interesting. Remember that saying, be the change you want to see in the world.
Okay.
Well, in marriage, it's kind of like be the change you want to see in your spouse.
Okay.
If you want your partner to, treat you with respect and kindness, embody those qualities yourself.
So it's not about waiting for them to change.
No.
It's about focusing on your own, growth.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Setting that example.
Okay.
Leading by example. It goes back to that concept of rights and duties, right?
Yeah.
It's recognizing that you have a role to play in building that harmonious relationship.
Okay.
And fulfilling your duties, it can have this inspiring effect.
I love that. So instead of getting caught in that tit for tat cycle,
right.
It's more about that self-improvement.
It shifts that focus.
Or leading by example.
Exactly.
Okay.
The sources highlight breaking free from that destructive cycle, right?
Yeah.
Responding with grace and wisdom, even when it's difficult. And this requires conscious effort, Yeah. It's about recognizing your triggers and actively choosing a different path.
It's like training a muscle.
Yes.
The more you practice patience and forgiveness, the stronger those muscles get.
Right.
And the easier it is to respond in a healthy way.
Absolutely. And remember, even the prophet, peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, who is the most perfect example of character, emphasized patience in marriage. There's a hadith where he says, the best of you are those who are best to their families, and I am the best of you to my family.
Wow.
It's a beautiful reminder that even the most righteous individuals, they face challenges.
Right.
But it's how they handle those challenges that sets them apart.
That's such an important message, because it means that we shouldn't get discouraged when things get tough.
No.
It's like we can look to his example.
Yes.
And strive to respond with patience and understanding.
Absolutely.
Even when it's hard.
So as we kind of delve deeper into these sources, what are some of the key takeaways that you think are most important for our listeners to remember?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's crucial to understand that marriage in Islam, it's not just a contract.
Right.
It's a sacred bond built on love, compassion, mutual respect.
And that respect should be evident in everything.
Yeah.
Our words, our actions, our thoughts towards our spouse.
Recognizing their inherent worth.
Yes.
As a human being, as our chosen life partner.
Right. And that includes fulfilling those responsibilities.
Yeah.
Within the marriage. It's not just demanding our rights.
Right.
It's actively contributing to the well-being and happiness of our spouse.
It's about working together as a team.
Yes.
Supporting each other's dreams.
Yes.
Navigating life's challenges.
Yeah.
Side by side.
Yeah.
And when those conflicts inevitably arise, it's about approaching them with, that spirit of understanding, patience, forgiveness.
Instead of getting caught up in the blame, the resentment.
Yeah.
The sources encourage us to seek that reconciliation, focus on those positive aspects.
Yeah.
Remember the big picture.
Yeah.
We're in this together for the long haul.
And that's where I feel like faith plays a vital role.
It does.
It's not just about rituals and practices. It's about drawing strength and guidance from our beliefs.
Yeah.
To navigate these challenges.
It's about seeking Allah's blessings on the marriage, praying for guidance, reminding ourselves of that higher purpose of this union to build that loving, righteous family.
And that's such a beautiful aspiration, isn't it?
It is.
To create a home filled with love, respect, tranquility.
Yes.
A place where our children can thrive. They can learn the true meaning of Islamic values.
Absolutely. It all starts with that bond between the husband and wife.
Yeah.
Laying that strong foundation of mutual understanding, kindness, compassion.
I love how practical these Islamic teachings are.
They are.
They're not just these theoretical concepts. they're guidelines.
Yeah.
That we can apply in our daily lives.
Right.
To strengthen our marriages, to create more harmony,
Yes.
more fulfillment.
And the best part is it's a journey.
Yeah.
It's continuous.
Yeah.
We're always learning.
Yeah.
We're always growing.
The more we delve into these teachings,
Yeah.
the more we discover,
Right.
the more we can improve.
It's like peeling back the layers of an onion.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
That's such a good analogy.
Right.
And that's what makes this topic so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not just about, resolving conflicts.
Yeah.
It's about embarking on this lifelong journey
Yes.
of discovery, of growth,
Yeah.
of deepening that love and connection.
It's about building a legacy
Yeah.
of faith, of love, of happiness that will benefit not only ourselves, but generations to come.
And that is a legacy worth striving for, isn't it?
It is.
Before we wrap up this part, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier.
Okay.
Which is this whole idea of fulfilling our own duties within the marriage.
Ah, yes.
I think that's a really crucial point
I couldn't agree more.
that often gets overlooked.
It does. It's so easy to focus on what our spouse is doing wrong
Right.
or what we feel they should be doing for us.
Yeah.
But the sources remind us true change starts with ourselves.
Mhm.
It's about taking ownership
Yeah.
of our part in the relationship,
Right.
recognizing that we have that power to make a positive impact. And sometimes that means putting our ego aside.
Yeah. Being willing to compromise.
Absolutely.
You know?
Marriage is not about winning or losing.
No.
It's about finding solutions
Right.
that work for both partners.
Yeah.
It's creating that win-win
Yeah.
where both spouses feel heard,
Yeah.
respected, and valued.
And that requires open and honest communication.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Communication is key
Yeah.
in any relationship, but especially in marriage.
Mhm.
And it's not just about talking.
Yeah.
It's about listening
Yeah.
with an open heart,
Mhm.
truly trying to understand your spouse's perspective.
Even if we don't agree with them,
Yeah.
we can still validate their feelings.
Yes.
Try to see things from their point of view.
Right.
And sometimes, that means being willing to apologize, even if we don't feel like we're entirely in the wrong.
You hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Because sometimes preserving the relationship is more important than proving a point.
Right.
Right. A sincere apology can go a long way
It really can.
in healing those hurt feelings,
Mhm.
restoring that harmony.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Yes.
Being like, okay,
Yeah.
let's move forward from this.
Exactly. With that love and understanding.
Yeah.
Remember, conflict's natural. It's
Yeah.
a part of any relationship. It is. But it's how you handle it
Right.
that determines, the long term.
Yeah. It's all about the recovery.
It is.
Now we've spent a lot of time unpacking the challenges, the potential conflicts.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to remember that it's not all about conflict resolution.
Right.
Marriage is also about joy, companionship,
Yes.
shared experiences.
Absolutely.
It's about laughing together,
Yeah.
supporting each other's dreams, creating memories that will last a lifetime.
And the sources.
Yeah.
They actually emphasize that.
Okay.
Remember that Hadith, the best of you are those who are best to their wives, and I am the best of you to my family.
Oh, that's a good one. Such a beautiful reminder that our spouse should be our closest confidant, our best friend, the person that we turn to for comfort, for support. But that kind of bond, it doesn't just happen magically, does it?
No, it takes effort,
Okay.
intentionality,
Yeah.
a willingness to prioritize
Prioritize the relationship.
the relationship.
Yeah, it's about making time for each other,
Yes.
Even when life gets busy.
Even when it's crazy.
Yeah, finding ways to reconnect, keep that spark alive.
Yeah.
Date nights, weekend getaways, even just cuddling up on the couch,
Yeah.
watching a movie together. Like those moments might seem small, but they weave this tapestry
They do.
of shared experiences
And
that make a marriage strong and beautiful.
And let's not forget intimacy.
Okay, now we're getting to the good stuff.
Right.
But seriously, intimacy is such a vital part of a healthy marriage,
It is.
both physically and emotionally.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's about expressing that love, that affection
Yeah.
in a way that feels good for both partners. Creating that safe, loving space
Mm-hmm.
where you can be vulnerable with each other and deepen that connection.
And that vulnerability, that requires like a deep level of trust,
Of course.
respect,
Yeah.
open communication about needs and desires.
Yeah.
It's about creating that shared experience that brings you closer.
Yeah.
Strengthens that bond.
That's beautifully said. It really highlights that depth and the complexity of intimacy.
It is.
In a marriage, it's not just a physical act.
Yeah.
It's really a reflection of that emotional connection, that trust you built.
And that brings us to another crucial aspect that's emphasized in the sources.
Okay.
Which is the importance of seeking knowledge and guidance.
Okay, so going beyond just what we're talking about here today. Okay.
While the sources we're exploring, they offer so much wisdom. It's important to remember they're just the starting point.
Right.
Islam emphasizes continuous learning throughout our lives.
Yeah.
And that applies to marriage.
Absolutely.
As well. So it's not enough to just read a book, listen to a podcast.
Yeah.
We need to really actively engage, reflect, seek guidance from those who are knowledgeable.
Exactly. And this is especially important when it comes to sensitive topics, like resolving conflicts, dealing with those difficult situations.
Right.
It's essential to have that trusted source of guidance who can help you understand those nuances of Islamic teachings and apply them in a wise and compassionate way.
And thankfully, there are so many resources.
There are.
Available to us, books, lectures, online courses, even counseling services that specialize in these Islamic perspectives.
The key is to be proactive.
Okay.
Seek out that knowledge.
Yeah.
Seek out that support you need to navigate those challenges and build that strong and fulfilling relationship.
I love that because it emphasizes that we're not alone in this journey.
No, you're not.
There's a whole community of support and guidance available to us.
And with the right knowledge and the right effort, we can all create those loving, lasting marriages.
Speaking of desire, we've talked a lot about fulfilling our own duties within a marriage. What does that actually look like? Like in practice?
Yeah.
What are some concrete steps that we can take today to become better spouses, to contribute to the well-being of our relationship?
That's a fantastic question. It's a challenge for each of us to reflect, right? On our own actions, our own intentions, identify areas where we can grow, where we can improve.
Okay.
Maybe it's making that conscious effort to speak kindly, to be more patient, more forgiving, actively listening to their needs and concerns.
Or maybe it's, taking on more responsibilities around the house, showing more affection, simply making time for quality time together.
Exactly. Whatever it may be, I encourage you, take some time, reflect on this question, and commit to taking at least one small step today to strengthen your marriage. Remember, those small acts of kindness, of love, they can have that ripple effect, creating that more positive, fulfilling dynamic.
Yeah. And as you continue on this journey of marriage, remember that you're not alone.
No, you're not.
Seek knowledge, seek guidance, and never stop striving to become the best spouse that you can be.
And with Allah's blessings, may your marriage be filled with love, joy, and everlasting happiness.
Now, before we jump into the final part of our deep dive, I want to take a moment to emphasize something. It's really important. So before we wrap up, I want to touch on something I think that's really crucial. It's how we frame this whole idea of duties in a marriage. Because it's easy to hear that word and think, ugh, chores.
Right.
But I feel like the source material's hinting at something deeper,
Yeah, you're right. It's not about a to-do list.
Okay.
It's about understanding that our actions really shape that entire atmosphere of the marriage.
Okay.
It's like if you're focusing on being the best version of yourself as a spouse, those duties, they become acts of love, not burdens.
Okay, that makes so much more sense. So it's less like I have to do the dishes. It's more like by doing this, I'm contributing to a peaceful home.
Exactly.
For us both.
Yeah. It's about shifting that perspective, right?
Yeah.
seeing those actions as investments in the well-being of the relationship,
Right.
not just chores.
Not just like checking things off.
Right, exactly.
So it's less about me versus you,
Yeah.
and more about us working together.
Yes.
To create something beautiful.
And that us mentality is so key for navigating those disagreements.
Yeah.
Remember, marriage isn't a battle to be won.
Right.
It's a partnership. You're on the same team.
Right.
Sometimes that means putting your ego aside,
Yeah.
being willing to compromise,
Right.
to find those solutions that work for both of you.
So instead of digging in our heels and trying to win an argument,
Right.
it's more about finding common ground, understanding where they're coming from.
Exactly. Creating that win-win where both partners feel heard, respected, and valued. And the foundation for that is communication.
Communication, there's the magic word. In any relationship, really, but especially marriage.
Yeah.
But how do we go beyond just talking at each other and really have those deep, meaningful conversations that actually bring us closer?
That's where the magic is. It's not just about expressing your own thoughts, your own feelings. It's about really listening with an open heart.
Yeah.
Trying to understand their perspective.
So even if I don't agree with what they're saying, it's about acknowledging their feelings, trying to see it from their side.
Exactly. And sometimes that means being willing to apologize, even if you don't feel like you were entirely in the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes preserving the relationship is more important than winning an argument.
Oh, I've been there.
Or proving a point.
Yeah. Sometimes a heartfelt apology can just do wonders.
It can.
For diffusing tension, rebuilding that connection.
It's like hitting the reset button.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move forward from this with love and understanding. Remember, conflict's natural.
Yeah.
It's part of any relationship.
It is.
But it's how you handle it.
Yeah.
That determines the long-term health and happiness.
All about the recovery.
It is.
Now we've spent a lot of time unpacking these challenges, the potential conflicts. But it's important to remember that it's not all about conflict resolution.
Right.
Marriage is also about joy, companionship.
Yes.
Those beautiful shared experiences that just make life richer.
Absolutely. And, the sources we've been exploring, they actually emphasize this.
They do.
Remember that Hadith, the best of you are those who are best to their wives, and I am the best of you to my family.
Oh, that's a good one. Such a beautiful reminder that our spouse should be our, closest confidant, our best friend, the person we turn to for comfort, support. But that kind of bond, that doesn't just happen magically, does it?
No, it takes effort, intentionality, a willingness to prioritize.
To prioritize the relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's about making time for each other, even when life gets busy.
Even when life gets crazy.
Yeah. Finding those ways to reconnect, keep that spark alive.
Date nights, weekend getaways, even just cuddling up on the couch and watching a movie together. Yeah. Those moments, they might seem small, but they really weave a tapestry of those shared experiences that make a marriage strong and beautiful.
Yeah. And let's not forget about intimacy.
Okay,
now we're getting to the good stuff. But seriously, intimacy is such a vital part of a healthy marriage.
It is.
Both physically and emotionally.
Absolutely.
Right. It's about expressing love, affection in a way that feels good for both partners.
Yes.
Creating that safe and loving space where you can be vulnerable with each other. Deepen that connection.
And that vulnerability, it requires trust.
Yeah.
Respect. Open communication about those needs and desires.
Yeah. Creating that shared experience that brings you closer, strengthens that bond.
It's one of the most beautiful and unique aspects of the marital relationship.
It truly is a special kind of connection. So as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with this thought.
Yeah.
We've explored all these amazing principles, these guidelines that Islam provides for building a strong and fulfilling marriage. But ultimately, it comes down to our own choices and our own actions.
I love that. You hold the power
to
create the kind of marriage you desire. One that's rooted in love, respect, kindness, mutual understanding.
It might not always be easy.
No.
And there will be challenges along the way.
There will be.
But with the right knowledge, effort, and intention, you can build a lasting, a loving relationship that brings you closer to Allah and to each other.
And that's That's a beautiful aspiration, isn't it?
It truly is.
Yeah.
And it's something that's within reach for all of us. So as you go about your day today, remember the wisdom that we've uncovered today and let it inspire you to nurture your marriage, to create the loving and fulfilling relationship you deserve.
And may Allah bless your marriage with happiness, harmony, and everlasting love.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time.